everyone for staying with us. We will be getting to the impact of the boardroom row, which has led to implications on the street, because we're already feeling it on the street. This is about the Dangote NUPENG row. There is a new development, and it looks to me that a resolution is now officially confirmed. We understand that NUPENG has suspended the strike action after DSS and the finance minister's intervention. Dangote Refinery, we understand, and its management have agreed to workers' rights to unionize, according to the acting general secretary of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Mr. Benson Uba, who was at the closed-door meeting at the DSS headquarters. Both parties came to the agreement, which made the leadership of NUPENG to suspend the strike. The Ministry of Labour has confirmed the development and promised to send a statement soon. You will be seeing the memorandum of understanding, which we understand has been signed. It's been different talks, and there is some people who walked out of that conversation yesterday between the management of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and the leadership of the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, stretched late into the night yesterday, with the federal government stepping in through the Ministry of Labour to mediate. The negotiation followed a nationwide shutdown of few depots after NUPENG enforced its strike directive, accusing the Dangote Refinery of attempting to bar tanker drivers and other employees from joining the union. Officials of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, and the Petroleum Regulatory Authority were also present at a marathon meeting, which we understand now went from the Labour Ministry to the DSS headquarters, perhaps having some security implication should the nation be shut down in terms of oil and gas production and transportation. So the strike has left filling stations closed in cities like Lagos, Warri, Sokoto, and other parts of the country, raising fears of fuel scarcity and transport fare hikes. The bank president declared 100% compliance nationwide, but we understand now that that has been resolved. Let's get some clarity now and some perspective on this matter. I'm being joined by energy expert and petroleum economist, Mr. Kevin Emmanuel, who is live for us here in our studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Emmanuel, for joining us.
Thank you so
much. Good
much.
news, isn't it?
Yeah,
for Dangote to agree, to agree to NUPENG's demands that the drivers, the truck drivers of the, how many hundreds of CNG buses by Dangote now, to unionize.
Currently, there is 1,000 CNG trucks on ground
that Dangote
are available in Nigeria that can take anywhere between 35 and 50 million liters of PMS on a daily basis. But Seun, I wanted to say to you that from my understanding of events, Dangote was not against unionization of the truck drivers. You see, I always like to situate things within the law. What does the law say? The Trade Union Act, sections 43, subsections 1B, says that a federal trade union cannot compel workers to join its union. It has to be on a willing basis. The argument of Dangote, from what I understand, has been NUPENG cannot compel his truck drivers to join the union if they are not willing to join the union. Dangote, of course, respects, because the refinery employs currently 40,000 Nigerians who pay personal income tax to the Lagos state government, right? Even if it's in a free trade zone, all right? So his argument has never been that, oh, they can't join the union. His argument is that you have to obey sections 43, subsections 1B of the Trade Union Act, because he obeys the ILO conventions on rights of employees to freely assemble and congregate, sections 87, Convention 87 of the ILO Convention on Labor Rights around the world, sections 98 on collective bargaining. So the argument has never been that he stopped them from unionizing. It has been that you can't compel the workers to join your union if they are not willing to join your union.
Is the matter of, and it happens in a lot of private organizations, that you would say, as a policy of the organization, you can on your own go and join union.
Yes.
But as a chapter within the organization, that is not allowed. And the organization has the right to decide that, but cannot stop individuals from being part of a union,
yes,
which is the right of every worker.
But you cannot also compel the individuals from joining the union, as to join the union. If the individuals say they don't want to join the union, they have a right not to join the union. It's covered by the Trade Union Act. And Seun, it's interesting because, you know, when you look at the labor union and you look at the role they played in the events of the last 12 months. You know, I was on this show several months ago when NNPC had claimed that Warri Refinery was working. And I was on this show and I remember telling you that Warri and Port Harcourt Refinery are not operational. And 6 months down the line, I've been proven right. NLC went there, Pengerson went there, NUPENG went there, Petron went there, and said that, oh, that it was working. Petron even said that they were lifting products, and it was not working. Right? 12 months. When last did we experience any disruption to the supply of products around Nigeria? It was under the previous regime of Dangote not supplying the markets with fuels. Right? You have a situation where at every point in time, came to say that the sulfur level of his diesel, AGO, does not meet up with the regulatory standards. Meanwhile, the actual people who don't meet up with the regulatory standards are the marketers who import to Nigeria, because NMDPR, as a regulator for the mid and downstream sector, does not have a lab to test for products at the ports as specified in the PI. You know, so you've had these people congregate to place obstacles in the way of Dangote since he started operations. If it was not, you can't sell to the Nigerian market, it is, you know, you don't have the right specification of products to supply the Nigerian market, it is the government does not have the crude supply based on domestic crude supply obligations in sections 109 to supply with crude oil feedstock it needs. Dangote is spending $650 million every month importing crude oil into Nigeria to refine. To, you know, NNPC struggling with Dangote, when you consider the fact that NNPC is not supposed to struggle with him, they are shareholders in the refinery. So he constantly placed obstacles on his way. And, you know, from a broader perspective, the agenda for this strike action was not actually, you know, whether the workers are allowed to unionize or not. And NUPENG was being used as a proxy, as a last form of defense for the marketers who realized that they failed. But you know what? Because you have a situation, Seun, where the number of CNG trucks that Dangote has on ground today can supply Nigeria. 27,000 retail stations around Nigeria have registered to take products from him. The recent increase in the price of CNG per standard cubic unit from a little over 200 to over 400 naira, it was actually targeted at Dangote to ensure that, you know, his economics on the cost of delivering products directly to filling stations, like he's promised in his business model, does not succeed.
Okay, so let's look at it from this matter. You know that there is anger in the downstream about Dangote's operation. A lot of the operators think that Dangote is overreaching. And I'm very sure that you operate in that sector and you know that a lot of them are not happy with him. And you see Dangote as a single investor who has investment now in the upstream, in the middle stream, and in the downstream. And there are those who say this monopoly could cause Nigeria energy insecurity. One man who allowed to do all of that is dangerous to the economy.
The company that Dangote uses to operate, and they're going to begin operations, OML 71 and 72, or PML 71 and 72, is actually not Dangote. Dangote is only in the midstream sector. Dangote is not in the downstream sector.
But he has a license to operate.
But it's not Dangote. The name of the company that has...
But he has an investment in it.
He has an investment. So the PIA says that if you're going to play as an integrated energy company, you are allowed. If you're going to play as a company, you're not allowed to use the same company legal entity up, mid, and downstream. And I'm saying to you, Seun, today, in response to your question, that he's only operating in the midstream sector today. He's not in the upstream, because the entity that operates legally upstream is not Dangote.
So no, one of the fears, I'm establishing that fact that There are those who think that monopoly is being taken too far and that it's dangerous for one single individual. And you see that happen in the rest of the world, where government will caution individuals to say your monopoly is dangerous to the existence of our nation. Now, the other part to the conversation is to the effect that, look, you've taken the jobs off some people's hands by introducing, you are the one refinery, you are the one who wants to truck. You've taken a whole sector out of business.
So he's employing 8,000 truck drivers. He's employed 40,000 people at the refinery who are paying personal income tax to the Lagos state government, right? He's created so much in the value chain, you know, not just for petrol, automotive gasoline, oil, or Jet A1 that is now being exported to EU, the UK, and the US. He's also exporting polypropylene crystals. He's exporting residual fuel oil. He's creating so much value that didn't exist today. The returns Nigeria gets per barrel of crude oil is no longer bring crude to surface, you send it to terminals, and then you export. He's refining into derivatives and is bringing in net export proceeds into Nigeria. As a matter of fact, when the GDP was recently based on 2019, from $188 billion to $253 billion, that has brought down Nigeria's debt to GDP ratio from 52% to 39.1% currently. Dangote was mentioned as a consequential factor in the increase of Nigeria's GDP size.
So Dangote is of positive value than negative?
Absolutely positive value.
Are there the cons in this matter?
I don't see the cons. I don't see the cons. And the reason I don't see the cons is because for more than 30 years, Nigeria has been importing dirty fuels into the country. You've not done environmental impact assessments to measure the impact of the dirty fuels. We've not done a public health inquiry.
Does Dangote even allow the regulator to check?
NMDPRA officials are stationed at the refinery.
But they complain that Dangote will not allow them to check properly. No. I mean, that they don't allow them to do their oversight.
So NMDPRA, as a regulator, has a license to the refinery called the license to operate. If Dangote refuses them access to any part of that refinery, that LTO will be withdrawn. So that is completely false. They can't put out an official statement to this effect to say that it doesn't allow them full access to the refinery.
But they are grumbling, and I'm very sure
let them put out an official statement.
There are grumblings, and you will hear. Now, the thing for me is that you could mention billionaires and companies owned by individuals in the United States that the United States is proud of. And there are companies that represent the United States, the UK, France, and other, Germany, that are owned by individuals that make that country proud. And now, I look at Dangote, is an example to the rest of the globe. It stands as one man. When Nigeria is mentioned, easily when you mention Nigeria, you almost want to ask, what about Aliko Dangote? Because he's made a mark in the sectors that he has operated. However, what do you think is causing the grumblings, the anger of those who are cooperating in the sector, especially when he entered into the petroleum sector?
Seun, you've had people who didn't see the future. You know how your BlackBerry phones, went out of service. Nokia phones went out of service. Apple innovated. They created smartphones with screen without buttons. And the market took it. It's called innovation. It's called moving ahead with the times.
It's causing disruption.
It's causing disruption. It's market forces.
Some people are losing their jobs.
It is a force of nature.
So Dangote is a businessman.
It's a businessman. It's not to be blamed.
He's allowed to. But does the government need to caution?
The government.
Or he has a capitalist right, of freedom to operate?
He has the freedom to operate. It's a free market. And if they are disgruntled, they should come together as a consortium, put up money, get their own license from NMDPRA and go and build their computer refinery.
Whatever competitive tool that Dangote is employing as a businessman is to the advantage of the ordinary man. It is to the advantage of the ordinary man.
The rest of the competitors. For the last 12 months, until NUPENG decided that they were going to violate the Trade Disputes Act, Nigerians have never experienced, or the president has never been briefed and said that NUPENG or Pengasin is threatening strike. For the last 12 months, we've had uninterrupted supply of petroleum products. We've never had it. Since Dangote came, they have come now because they are realizing that their depots in Lagos, in Warri, in Calabar are going to go out of service. They are obsolete because Dangote is doing 44 million liters of PMS as we speak. He's doing up to 26 million liters of diesel and he's doing up to 14 million liters of Jet A1. He can solve the daily demand of transportation fuels that Nigeria has. But the regulator has not provided empirical evidence to support the 50 million liters per day that they claim Nigeria consumes.
It can also monopolize the pricing mechanism of the market.
So you can't see, the petroleum sector is one of the most heavily regulated sectors in the world. The formula for calculating price of PMS, as a matter of fact, if you even follow the formula for calculating the price of PMS, Nigeria is selling the price of PMS at a discount to what Dangote is selling to Platt when he exports products out of Nigeria. He is trying to bring in these CNG trucks to deliver directly to consumers so that there's no room for middlemen playing games with supply of products or altering the quality of the products. And he can also have wiggle room to be able to reduce prices and insulate Nigeria from shocks in exchange rate or the price of crude oil.
Quickly, we're due for a break, but before we go on that break, let me let our viewers see the content of the Memorandum of Understanding reached at the end of the conciliation meeting held at the 8th September 2025 meeting between the management of Dangote Refinery and the Petrochemical Limited and the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers held at the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment. So the threat and the dispute was over the refusal of the management of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical Limited to allow the employees to be unionized by registered labor unions. But they've agreed on some resolutions, which are that since workers' unionization is a right in line with the provisions of the Exxon laws, that the management of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals Refinery and unionization of employees and petrochemicals who are willing to unionize, that the process of unionization shall commence immediately and be completed within 2 weeks. And it was agreed that the employer will not set up any other union. Arising from the strike notice, no worker or employee of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical will be victimized. Parties will revert to the Honorable Minister of Labor a week after the conclusion of the engagement, and based on the MOU, NUPENG agreed to suspend the industrial action with immediate effect. Sayu Tata MD Dangote Group and NMDPRA signed representation of TUC representative NLC. I'll come back to resolution which has consequential effect on not only the product but the economy. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Our closing moment with Mr. Kelvin Emmanuel, who is an energy expert and a petroleum economist. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. And so I read out to our viewers the communique and the agreement, the MOU between the Dangote Refinery and NUPENG, and it does to me that it's fair. No one will be forced to unionize. However, you will not stop anybody from unionizing, and you will not victimize anyone. There is a timeline to achieve that, and everybody goes home happy. And the strike is being called off. Good news, isn't it?
Good news. But Sharon, you know, I should also add that part of the agreement is that there's an open access at the countries, and the members of NUPENG can pick products from the countries. They are not excluded. They are not barred from taking products at the countries. It's open access. It's not a closed loop. And for the sake of, I just wanted to add on the show, Dangote is currently importing about 10 million barrels of crude oil per month. It's about $650 million per month. You know, I have raised this point before, but I also want to encourage the government to look at the possibility of separating the OPEC quota, which is currently 1.5 million barrels per day, which I don't think is going to increase anytime soon, from the domestic crude intervention stock, and create a strategic petroleum reserve so that the operators can drill more crude into the strategic petroleum reserve and see that the domestic refineries in Nigeria, like the Dangote refinery, can have the crude oil feedstock that they need to refine, and they don't have to import and incur like $9 million of shipping cost on a monthly basis. It's very important for our energy security. Yeah,
which makes a lot of sense. But there are those who say maybe some of these drivers were being told to sign some agreement to say they would not be joining.
There's no evidence of such. NUPENG is the last line of defense for the marketers who realizing that their business is fading out. The likes of Dapman, Moman, and Ipman, they realize that the game is up. So it's either they get on with the program or they go and build their own refineries to compete.
Kevin Emmanuel, thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you on the program tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate the insight. That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.